think Danny's joined us. Danny, welcome aboard. We're just about to start. It's going to show a video there, but had a little bit of technical difficulty. Guys, as you probably know, brothers, my name is Sean Pender. I'm the National Vice President. I thank you for joining us tonight about the Gael School program. This program was started 18 years ago by the man in my upper left corner here, Jerry O'Reilly. He's done a great job with it. So I'm going to just before we jump into it, Jerry, just to, tell the guys a little bit about your background, your Irish heritage, and then we'll go from there. Gents, tonight's presentation is very informal. So if you have any questions along the way, once we get in, you don't need to wait till the end. Just stop and we'll address the questions as they come in. Jerry?
Sure. Thank you, Sean. Yeah, first of all, thank you very much for the opportunity to present here tonight. As I go through this, I think you'll find that my presentation style is a bit more heartfelt. By profession, I'm a IT manager. I give presentations all the time, very technical presentations. But this isn't going to be one of those. This is one of those ones that I didn't prepare very much for because I can speak to it from the heart. So real quick on my background, both my parents are from County Cork. Growing up, obviously, probably like just about everybody else, you get really interested in your Irish heritage. And we found that there was a need, there's a couple of GAAs around that, we'll teach the kids how to play, but there wasn't really much that really taught kids about Ireland itself. I'm from Division 10 in Mercer County in New Jersey. I am a past president. And just to give you an idea of how much how passionate I am about this program, I stepped down as the president because I felt I wasn't giving the program enough attention. And for me, others could run the division while the program itself really needed some attention. Sean, do you want me to go into the background of the Gael School now, or
say that again?
Do you want me to go into the background of the Gael School, or?
Yeah, sure.
All right. So as Sean mentioned, this year, 2024, will actually be our 17th year. The first year that we started, and this is a little bit important because as we talk through this and as you make decisions as to if it's something that you're interested in, we had about, I think it was 6 to 8 kids that first year. And it really was one of those, decision-making periods where, do we move forward with this or do we not? That's 6 to 8 kids is not a lot. The decision was made to move forward, and it was the best decision that we ever made. The next year we had more, the next year we had more, the next year we had more. Our program here in right in the Trenton, New Jersey area runs on President's Weekend, so February 17th and 18th. And right at this moment, and keep in mind, I think you all probably realize this, how great the Irish are at procrastinating. So we're not done with registrations, but we have 80 kids registered at this moment, which for us is the most we've ever had, by a bit. We were gaining a lot of momentum the last couple of years leading into COVID. COVID really put a damper on what we were doing, as I'm sure it did with everybody. But we've come out of it. Last year we had a very good in-person program, and this year it's really looking to be possibly the best one ever. I say that, we'll see how it pans out, but we're definitely going to have the most kids that we've ever had. The Gael School itself is, for us, it's a 2-day program that we run in a local high school. We run it with volunteers, great chaperones. We have professional musicians, professional dancers. I say professional, but what I mean by that is we have a dance school come in. We use a local high school, which is really helpful. And a lot of this is we're going to get into this as we go through the presentation, but I'm just trying to give some of the background as to what we actually do. And we run short programs, half hour, 45 minutes, teach the kids something. We're never going to get them to know everything within that short amount of time that we have them. But what we want to do is spark their interest. We want them to be proud of being Irish. We want to promote our, our Hibernian way. It is run out of Division 10. We have a bunch of volunteers that come from there. And I think the thing that I can say the most about it is that we do a survey every year. And we give it to them at the front. And we say, hey, kids, we're giving you this survey throughout this weekend. Just write down things you like and don't like. We ask them 3 questions. What did you like? What didn't you like? And would you come back next year? And they give us some really good suggestions as to what they liked. They give us some really good suggestions as to what they didn't like. Children are, they're unfiltered. They're going to tell you what they like and didn't like. And it's fantastic. But then the most important question is, would you come back next year? For the 5 times that we've actually put the survey out there, we've gotten 100% feedback from the kids that they would come back next year. And that's really important because we are taking the children from going to school every day during the week, and then we're putting them in a school for 2 days on a weekend. And they all say that they would come back. And that is a very big pride point for me and for the rest of the committee that we have. So I just want to, make sure that everybody understands, like, we think that this is the most important thing we do. It's the most important thing I do by far. I have 2 kids. They went through the program. My son's off of college in South Carolina now, but my daughter's local at college. So she's actually a chaperone and an instructor right now. And it's great. It's great to come up with them, to teach them about Ireland, and then have them want to come back and be part of the program. So, Sean, I think this is probably a good point that we can jump into the PowerPoint if you want. Unless you had more to say.
I'll share that. Ron Tobin, you just joined us. Ron, if you don't mind, let us know where you're joining us from.
Minnesota.
Minnesota. Great to have you on. Thank you so much. Everybody else can hear okay?
Yep.
Okay, we just had a problem. Mike McKenzie out there, so he's rebooting. Guys, we'll go into that. The one thing we're saying is, as you probably know if you're following us under the leadership of Danny O'Connell, we're making a real attempt to try to get younger, and instead of just saying to get younger, we have programs. You probably all know right now about the St. Patrick Ambassador Program, which is from 19 to 25-year-olds, which will send upwards to 9 or 10 members to Ireland. We've initiated McNabb Scholarship for under 40s at the convention, but we feel this program, of course, not only helps educate the young, but it also, I think, gives younger parents, a 20 and 30 and 40-year-old demographic, they could see some value in the AOH. So it's very important, as we were doing, is we want to associate the AOH with this program, so people see the value of what we have to offer as teaching our heritage to the next generations. So with that, I'm going to go, and Jerry, let me know if you see
I can see it.
The PowerPoint.
Yep, I can see it.
Okay.
So right off the bat here, what you see there with the map of or the outline of Ireland with the harp and the half crest there, is that's our logo. And as I get into it, I don't see it anymore, Sean.
Okay.
But while you're bringing that back up, I'll just say that one of the things about that's important, and as you can, I have it on my shirt here. As we get into the presentation here, I'll explain why that's a little bit important. And well, while he's doing, I just want to show you. I know I told you how passionate I was about this, but I've got it tattooed on my arm. And I am, as I said, I am an IT professional, and tattoos are not always the most welcome thing in the corporate world, and I didn't care. That's one of the things I love about this program so much. Sean, we're seeing the other screen.
So you're not seeing the PowerPoint?
We see the PowerPoint, but we see the presenter side. So if you go to display settings up top, you probably can do switch screen. Yep.
There you go.
There you go. All right, go ahead on to the next slide. and we'll get into the meat of this. All right, so let's run through this real quick. I'm not going to read this all word for word. I'll just go through each one of these slides. I think Sean may have said he sent this out to you before. If not, we can probably send out the PowerPoint presentation. I don't like reading off slides. So what it is, I think I explained that already. The Gael School program is it's a program where we want to get children excited about Ireland. We want them to understand what it is, what their heritage is, where they come from, maybe where their parents come from, or just even anybody just that wants to understand anything about Ireland, and we want them to run that through the Hibernians. Why should you run one? I have talked to everybody I can about this, and I think it's one of the most important things that as a Hibernian that we can do. We run parades, we run 50-50s. I know Sean's a very big proponent of the Freedom for All Ireland. There's so many great programs out there that we run. There are very few programs that we actually run for children. If we are going to ensure that our Irish heritage moves forward, we have to make sure that the children are taught. I actually was up at the consulate a couple of years ago, and I used this, and I'll use it again because it's dorky, but whatever. I believe in Whitney Houston. I believe that the children are the future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. And I truly believe that we need to teach our children. My kids are 20 years old. When they were younger, and especially my son, because he was a bit of a gamer, and he'd be on his Xbox and he's playing games. He's playing games with kids all over the world. And we go from America being this melting pot to this wider audience of the entire world being this melting pot. And I think that all of a sudden makes it, well, I think that's awesome, by the way, while they're meeting all the kids and talking to other kids from other nationalities. I think that's fantastic. I think that becomes even more important that they understand where it is that they came from originally. And that's what we try to do. We try to teach them about Ireland and the things that maybe they don't know, because they're kids. They don't know a lot. Even if their parents are really, if they're off the boat, so to say, as my parents were. My parents spoke Irish. They did it, so I didn't understand what they said, and would talk behind my back till I started to learn a couple of words, and then it didn't work as well. But I don't know that, in your day-to-day life, if parents are teaching their children about Ireland. Yes, they know they're Irish. They think it's cool. But ultimately, it's more than parades and leprechauns. There's so much more involved. And that's what we aim to do. And that's why we're trying to bring this program to the rest of you. We've run it for 17 years now. We think we've come to a good point where we can build out a program and support the rest of you. So what we're trying to do is guarantee a consistent and effective program where we give you a package that gives you all the necessary tools to establish and run your own local Gael school. So Sean, you can go ahead and next slide. All right. Now go back one. I think. Yes. All right. So what we're looking to do and how we're going to support you. First, you know that you'll have our backing. If you need help as we run through this and we set up your program within your locale, I will be here to help you. I'm going to try. We'll see how these things work out. I'm not sure how it's going to work out. This is something new that we're trying. But if I can, I'm going to try and be there physically for you and help you out. If I can't, I'll be available via phone, via Zoom, Teams, FaceTime, whatever you need. The curriculum, as you'll see, I think at the end, we're going to show you what I've laid out as a one-day program. And what we're looking to do is give you the schedule, the PowerPoint presentations, and a very structured, informative, first day program. It's going to be something that you're going to have to pivot on. It's very important that you understand that things never go as planned.
Mhm.
Because you're running this with children and weather and this and that and the other thing, you have to be flexible. And that is, to me, the most absolutely important thing that you can do. As I said, this is our 17th year. Last year's it was our 16th year, and we encountered something we've never encountered before, which was that we were not able to get into our location the night before to set everything up. We pivot, we make it work. So, in terms of support and the curriculum, I'm going to be there to make sure that you understand that, yeah, you got to pivot. Curriculum, we're going to lay everything out for you. You might have to change something. That's okay. It's absolutely okay. Swag. Swag's important. Kids love it. They absolutely love it. I meant to mention this at the beginning, but Sean Suntag has been a student for many years. I see him still wearing his Gael School stuff when I see him. I see Sean wearing his Gael School stuff when I do. It's cool. It looks good. I mean, it's good. As I showed you before, it's a nice looking logo, and it shows exactly what it is. And we have people that we will. So what we do with the swag is we get something for all the kids. This year we're giving out hoodies, and honestly, they look awesome. I'm pretty happy with that. And the kids love them. We also then put them aside, get extra, sell them. And that's a very good fundraising thing to do to help support this program. We support the program by a grant from the Irish government, which actually has been cut. So we've had to look at a couple of other ways. We do charge for it. For our 2-day program, we charge $75, and I'll give you an idea of why we charge that in a second. And we haven't before, but we're going to start doing some fundraising. But ultimately, the swag is super important because it helps promote the program, and the kids look great in it, and they love it. The details instruction, there's a lot to this. It's not just getting a bunch of kids in a room and then teaching them stuff. There is the check-in. There's decorations. For us, we have the flags from every county. We hang them up in the cafeteria where we are. And it's very striking, looks great. You need a nurse. That's something that you may not think about. You need somebody for security. Again, something you might not think about. The most important thing that you need to remember here is that we are dealing with children, and the safety of the children is the absolute most important thing out of everything. Yes, we're teaching them Ireland. It's great. It's fantastic. It means nothing if the kids aren't safe. So we need to put them in a good, safe environment where they are taken care of. And that's where the nurse and the security guard are. They can be volunteers, absolutely. Our nurse this year backed out. We have paid for a nurse the last couple of years. She unfortunately can't do it this year. My brother's a nurse, and he's going to be. He has attended in the past. He hasn't been able to make it the last couple of years. He's going to be our nurse this year. We have a couple of other volunteers that are nurses as well. They're going to be as well. So you can work it in different ways. You don't have to pay for somebody, but just know that these are sort of the things that you're going to need. And I will walk you through an entire day as to how it runs. It is complicated, but when you look at it, it's step by step. I think you'll find it's not bad. All right, Sean, I think we can go to the next slide. Okay, I think I mentioned a couple of these things already. So what you're going to need, you're going to need a committee. As much as I like to say, hey, I do this all myself, no, absolutely not. I have a great group behind me. And something I'd like to mention here is that when I started on the Gael School, the committee that we had were those guys. You're all brothers. I guarantee that what I'm about to say is going to resonate with you. You have those group of brothers that do everything. There's those 5 to 10 guys that do so much within the division, and I know that, and that's the way we were too. And our committee started off like that. Our committee has now grown to a point where a lot of that old guard has kind of stepped away. And obviously I lead up our committee, but the rest of our committee right now is made up of one other committee member that's been a long time AOH member. The rest are former students. They're all under 30 years old. And they are the ones that are now, taking up the gauntlet and running this. And that's fantastic. And I think that's what you're going to find is that you'll get those, division members that kind of do everything. When the question goes up is, hey, who's going to help us out here? They do everything. As you go through the years, you'll start finding those kids that come up through the program, they get older and older, they age out, they want to come back. That's how much they love the program. The next is volunteers. The committee is going to be something that meets kind of throughout, a period of time. We meet probably about 9 months out of the year. Start off once a month, and it gets to every 2 weeks. And like where we are right now, we're 3 weeks away, so we're meeting every week right now. And that's a cadence that you can figure out yourself. But you're going to need volunteers on that day. You need people that come in that you trust, because again, you have to make sure that we are creating a safe environment for these children. So you need to be able to trust the volunteers that you have coming in. And that's what we do. We, all the volunteers we know that we have parent volunteers that have offered up, and we've told them no. And the reason we tell them no is because we don't know them. I'm sure they're super people, but we don't know them. And it's not that we don't trust them, but we don't trust them. And until we know them and can trust them, we're going to continue to not trust them. And that's harsh. But again, safety of the children. You need a facility. As I mentioned, we run ours at a local high school. We have a very good relationship with this local high school. If you can, I know a lot of you have halls. That's awesome. You can absolutely do it there. Local VFW, some other community space. The things that I say that for us really make our facility great is that we have access to fields, so we can bring the GAA in. We have local GAAs. We have 2 local GAAs that will be here this year. They're going to come in. They're going to teach hurling and football. It's nice to have a field to do that. You don't need a lined field or anything like that. You can get out into the middle of any field and do that. We cook with the kids. We actually bring them into the kitchen in the high school and do soda bread. If you can do that, it is an awesome activity. Absolutely awesome. Again, not necessary, but if you can do it, it's great. Depending on the size of the group that you think you're going to get, you just might want to make sure that you have individual rooms that you can break out into. Again, we're in a high school, so we break out into multiple classrooms. Because, so like we said, we have 80 kids this year. We're going to break that out into 5 different groups, because what we want to do is make sure that those, that they're getting individual attention and they're age appropriate. So we have 6-year-olds, we have a group of 6-year-olds. We have an extremely large group of 7-year-olds this year. So they're going to take up an entire class themselves. Then we'll probably go 8 and 9 year olds, 10, 11, 12 maybe, and then the older kids. That all depends on what you have registered and how many kids you have registered. So I keep talking. I think is that the last slide, Sean?
Yeah, that's the last one. I can go to the schedule now if you'd like that.
Yeah, we can do that. Is there any questions? Does anybody have any questions that they want to throw out there? I know I've done a lot of talking and kind of been all over the place. I told you I was going to be willy-nilly. But does anybody have any questions?
Yes, Jerry, you say that you have to trust these people, and do these people have to have the training or the program that the child safety that you would get through a diocese or something so that they can work with the kids?
So no, it's not required. We do vet our kids, and we do have a child safety program that we put them through ourselves, but there's not one formally done like there is through a diocese.
Okay, thank you.
And that, but You also might want to check with your look. We're in New Jersey, don't need to do that. But you also might want to check with your state and see if they require that.
Thanks for the advice.
And Jerry
You were-
mentioned the swag that I have some, so that means they have large sizes as well. So it's just not for the small people, us large people can get some of the stuff. You go, Jared, the schedule.
I see Tom has a question.
Oh, go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, when you were mentioning the 5 different groups and the classrooms, do you do they move around, like one classroom is music, one classroom is something else, one classroom, or is it the classroom is for the various different age groups? I'm just trying to figure out how they traffic around.
No, that's a fantastic question, Tom, and thank you for that. I actually something I should have mentioned. So what we try to do to make sure that they are engaged as possible is we will start off in a classroom, and then we will move to some type of physical activity, whether that be sports or in the kitchen. We have what we call the round robin, which is a lot of crafts, which is like St. Bridget's cross. I have, you probably can't see me at the moment, but I have a Celtic knots right here that I make out of some twine. And we have them do various crafts. So what we try to do is break up the day. We do move them around because I think it's important to move them around, because if they sit in the classroom all day, they're going to get very bored and very rambunctious. So we try to give them classroom teaching, and then some form of activity, and then back to the classroom and some form of activity. And I think this actually, it's a very good transition to this, because I think this one day curriculum that we've come up with kind of plays into that. So if I can run through this, that might help out a little bit. So what we do generally is that from 8:30 to 9, we do registration. We have a very rigid registration process where we check them in at the front table. We send the kids and the parents to the next table, where they will take off their jackets. We hang them up on our own. We bring in our own racks and everything, hang up their jackets, put their names on it. And then what we like to do is dismiss the parents. We'd rather not have the parents there, only because the more parents that are there, it's the more adults that we don't know. And we want to make sure that the kids go to their groups. So we send the kids into the cafeteria at that point. Then they're broken up into their groups and sit and meet their chaperones. The chaperones then learn who their kids are. They have a list of who the kids are. And then, they can follow them throughout the program. What we try to do is make sure that the chaperones that we have at the beginning are the ones that they're going to have at the very, very end as well. Then we do an introduction. We do national anthems, both the American national anthem and the Irish national anthem. We introduce the volunteers. We make sure that the kids know who they can go to. We make sure they know who the nurse is. They make sure who the security guard is. What we've done in the past, and we're doing it again this year, is all the volunteers have the same shirt on. So that way, and it's a bright, loud shirt, so all the kids can see what adult they can go to. We give them a layout of the facility, and kind of give them an idea what's going to happen throughout the day, and then we give them that survey that I mentioned at the beginning. So then we move on to the first class. So this is just a sample of what I think is a good start, because these kids they're blank slates, and I think you need to start at a very high level with them. So, go to geography. First of all, pull up a map and ask them if they know where Ireland is on the map. And I'm not sure that they all would. And that's great, because that's what we're here for. Then you can move on to the next class. We sometimes do a quick snack, quick bio break, go to language, then another break, music, move on to the next class. I have this open thing here, which I shouldn't have had. That's my bad. I'm sorry. Go on to lunch, and then maybe some crafts, like I mentioned, the St. Bridget's cross, the knot tying, sports, history, and dance and pipers, and then they swag in the group photo. Again, the swag the kids love, and have them, if you do a one day, or like we have laid out here, have them put the swag on right there. Take a big group photo. They really like it. Something that we do, and again, because we go 2 days, it's a little bit easier. We distribute the swag on Saturday afternoon, and we ask them all to wear it Sunday morning. Sunday morning, we do an Irish breakfast, and we there's a butcher up in Yonkers that we go up to who is fantastic. They're the most authentic sausages that I found in the area, at least. And we bring them all down. We cook them sausages. We cook them rashers. We cook them pudding, and we do scrambled eggs, and we give them a good big breakfast. After that, we take a picture with all the kids together. We actually send that out then to get printed out. And I don't think I have one near me. I should have had one near me. We have little frames, little paper frames. Well, not paper, but like cardboard frames that have the logo on it. And we stuff them all. And then at the end of the day, when they're going home, we give them a picture of all of them together. And see small little things that the kids and parents absolutely love, and we'll bring them back the next year. So I think what I want to say about the curriculum here is that you want to keep it simple. The classes, keep them short, keep them about a half hour. That's about the time. That's about the attention span that you're going to get from the kids. The most important thing here, though, is that while we have instructors coming down from Quinnipiac University and Seton Hall University coming down to teach for us, we also have volunteers that just Google things real quick and spend an hour making a PowerPoint and teaching that. And what we're going to try and do is give you a PowerPoint for the geography, for the language. The musicians, you might need to fill that in yourself. Sports, hopefully you have a local GAA or somebody there that understands the sport. But there's a wealth of knowledge out there where you can go to YouTube. A couple of years we actually showed, before we took the kids out to the field, we would show them a video on YouTube for sports, and it's great because it really shows them how fast the sport is. So it's easy to teach these kids, especially for us as adults, where we can just go out, and if you don't know something, I'm not the best at a lot of our history and such, but I've taught classes on myths and legends because it's something I am into. But I've taught classes on women in Ireland, which I learned as I was building my curriculum, and I taught a half-hour class on the women in Ireland based on what I went out and Googled. So it's really easy to get this, because remember, and I've said this so many times, and they're kids, they're sponges. You know more than them, no matter what you think you do. And coming out the other end of it, they'll know more. I think I'll probably finish off by saying this. I said this to our volunteers to the committee last year, and it really resonated with them. That on St. Patrick's Day, I sent them all out a message and said, think about this. There are kids that are getting up this morning, going to school, and telling other kids what they know about Ireland because it's St. Patrick's Day, because of what we taught them. And excuse me. And that's important. And that made, that meant a lot to me. Sorry. That means a lot to me. And I think that's the essence of the program, is that you're inspiring these kids to be proud of what they are, be proud of who they are, and go out there and tell other kids about it. And I think with that, I'll shut up and open the floor to any questions, or Sean, if you have anything else to say.
Does anybody have any questions before?
Do you teach different age levels a different thing?
Yeah. So one of the instructors that we have come down, her name's Dr. Christine Keneally. She's the curator of the Hunger Museum up at Quinnipiac, and she will teach the older kids a different version of the hunger than she might some of the younger kids. The younger kids, they might not get it as much. So we do tend to try to gear what we teach them based on their age. So yes, they will get a little bit different curriculum based on their age.
Are all of the kids getting the same subject simultaneously, or are you staggering them?
They're all staggered. So we will have the same instructor teach probably 3 or 4 times the same class.
Yeah.
Again, based on, so if you have your 7, 8-year-olds learning this right now, they're learning geography, and your 9, 10-year-olds right now, they're learning sports, then they'll switch or something like that. It's actually one of the biggest challenges when you have a large group. It's one of the bigger challenges to make sure that all the kids are getting all the classes and how to lay them out. That's my headache at the moment for this year, because we have so many kids. And I say headache, I mean headache in a very, very good way.
Okay.
Hey, Doc, thanks for joining there. I saw you got on there. Any
Yeah, I
other?
apologize for the late start there.
No problem, buddy. Any questions? Anybody else have any questions?
I- I
Go ahead, Ed.
I have a quick question. I joined late, so can someone like myself come up and just like witness this, I guess is a good way, or watch how this thing is laid out?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, I'm not sure if you were on earlier when I did say this, we try to kick the parents out. But if somebody comes to us and says, hey, I want to come and watch what's going on, yeah, we do allow that. We encourage it. We want people to see what's going on. We want people to understand what we're doing. As much as we kick the parents out, we also want to make sure that they see how it's run, that it's run well, and that it's run safely. But if any of you were in the area and wanted to come to it, we absolutely would welcome you. We'll walk with you probably, and just again, we're always safety conscious, but yeah, we encourage people to come watch what we do because we're proud of it.
And this year, as Jerry mentioned earlier, it's February 17th and 18th. It's at
Yes.
Notre Dame High School in Lawrenceville, New Jersey. So for Ed, I know for you, it's not too far at all. But it's something that's very, very impressive to see. I've brought visitors from the national board over the years to see it.
Awesome.
Anyone else?
Yeah, on the sports part of it, does it have to be in the field, or can that be inside? And is like the 20 minutes, half an hour enough?
No, being outside is great because it gets them a chance to go outside and get fresh air, but it's always weather permitting. And I know, I think one of you said you were from Minnesota. Yeah, depending on when you run it. If you run it in February, it's not necessarily, you're not going outside. We've run it in a gym. We've run it in a basement. So you kind of have to adapt to the space that you have. We have found, I don't know where one of the guys found it, but they found it a turnip rolling competition, and he did a little presentation on it. We found it online. It was a real thing. They loved it. And I think that's important to point out that, again, they're sponges. They really suck in anything that you're going to teach them. And they were out in the field taking turnips and just rolling them and running after them and picking up and rolling them again. But if you're in an area where you're going to run it at a time of year where the weather's bad, it's always bad. Yeah, you have to adapt. And you can do things inside in a room if you have to. I mean, you could get, you can get a slither and a hurling and just teach them how to hold the ball. There's small things that you can do. We've been very lucky and blessed to have a field and generally good weather, knock on wood. But you can absolutely teach sports in any type of environment.
So guys, I want to thank you all for getting on tonight. I want to just remind you one of the things that Jerry said. This program's now in its 17th year. And the first year they did 6 to 8 kids. Okay. A lot of work was done that first year, and it only got 6 to 8. Now, a lot of people might have said, well, this ain't worth it. But thankfully, they didn't. And they've gone on. And like I said, my son has gone from the time he was 8 to he aged out. So we just think it's a great way. I like to say when Jerry asked me to, spread the word, I always say, give the gift of your Irish heritage. That there's nothing more important, I think, that we can pass on to our children and grandchildren. And I think it's also a good way, again, that we can try to hopefully promote membership. People see value in the ancient Outer Hibernians of what we're doing to teach their children or their grandchildren. And I think very importantly here, it also gives us an opportunity to leverage our local relationships with other Irish organizations, GAA, dance schools, pipe bands, Irish music people. I've been out to Minnesota. I know the great Irish Center they have in St. Paul. I was in Connecticut. I know the great building they have in Stamford, and I know the Irish centers that they have up there. Dick Thompson has a hall. Ed Doherty has a hall. Mike McKenzie's on. They're building a new hall. It's what these halls are there for, to promote Irish heritage. So we can maybe partner with these guys. It's very important, again, that we control the program. It's branded as AOH, but that's what they're there for also. And I had a great question when I was out in Illinois. Could we bring it to a festival? And I said, that's possible. We could probably do something working with a local festival. Maybe it's even a smaller one, a couple of hours or a half day type of program, but anything we can do to try to get this out there. The proof is in the success that Jerry's had, and how he's created a culture of people that are in this. One of the things that I think is one of the most heartwarming things is we have a local parade usually about 3 weeks after the Gael school, and every year they march together as a group. So they put that swag back on, whether it be a great shirt, a GAA shirt or a hoodie, and they march, which gets it out. So I really appreciate the efforts of everyone that got on the call tonight. We have this taped again. Jerry's there to help you. We're here to do whatever we can to get this important program out there. And again, don't expect that you're going to run, a great 12-hour 2-day event. We can scale it back to try something and to try to build on it going from there. Are there any other questions before I turn it back to Jerry? And I'm going to ask President O'Connell, Danny, if you're on, if you'd like to say anything. I know you were going between a meeting and a dinner, and so.
Thanks, John. Just a great job. Thank you all for joining. And I think we have some of the video we'll be able to share out from the work you guys did during COVID. I think we broadcast some of the events live, so we might be able to share that out with the guys as well.
Yep, we do. We definitely have it in some of our YouTube. So what we'll do is put a follow-up on this. So we'll have the link to this on YouTube, and maybe what we can do on our channel is make a Gael school kind of subset so that everything is there. Any questions before I turn it back to Jerry for closing remarks?
Where do we go to get the materials and stuff? Give us Jerry's contact information so we can correspond directly with him.
Yep.
Yeah, and I'll just say to that, I'm building out a lot of the material right now. In the past, we've not kept it centrally, but as we're looking to share this out with everybody, we're taking this year to really gather up all the presentations and put them together. So, as I said, we're running this in 3 weeks. We'll have all that by then.
Yeah, and again, you can see Jerry does it around a month before the St. Patrick's system. It's not feasible for any other group, I think, to try to get something done that quick. But you don't necessarily have to do it around the St. Patrick's Day season. Of course, that's when people probably might be interested. But this might be a good fit for you in a different time of year, during the spring, during a winter break, something like that. Don't feel that you have to be honed in on just the St. Patrick's Day season. If working with Irish centers and they have the ability that they might have a lack of programs or something like that. Don't think you need to get it in and around the magic date of St. Patrick's Day on March 17th, of course. Anything else there, Jer?
I think the last thing that I'd like to say is that I look at this opportunity as a partnership. I hope that some of you are interested and do want to set up your own. It's very easy for me to run this for 17 years and get very put my blinders on as to the way I run it. I'm looking forward to new ideas and the thoughts from others to make the entire program better. So this isn't a hey, here's a package, go do it. No, this is here's what we do. Let's make the entire thing better together.
Thank you, Jerry. There's no other questions, guys. We'll wrap it up. I thank you all.
I think
Look
Ron has a
forward to seeing
question.
you. Oh, go ahead.
It's
Ron,
just
you have a question?
No, it's just a thought to contribute. Like, this is my first year as a Hibernian technically, and I got involved just because of my heritage, and then getting my daughter involved. She's only 2, but I want to set things up for that. But already thinking, like, I've introduced her to Sophie Becker. She's one of the Olympians for Ireland's track. So for
Mhm.
sports, if the kids are really hyper, I was already thinking it doesn't have to be a sport that's only in Ireland, but maybe to make it a link so other kids can understand that aren't Irish. So like, doing batons with the kids will eat up a lot of energy. So then the next thing is you teach history. So that way they're calmed down and they're more focused. For those who haven't worked with kids before, that's always a good thing to do.
No. And we thank you for joining us so early on in your Hibernian career, but that's exactly what we're looking for.
Yep.
All right, guys. Well, listen, have a great night. Thank you for your time. We'll work on the recap on this. We'll have a video of this, a link to the Gael School YouTubes, and also Jerry's and my contact information, so we can stay in contact and whatever we can do. Hopefully, this time next year we're looking out and we're seeing a dozen or so programs throughout the country. So, thank you, brothers, and have a great evening. God bless.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night.